Hey, it's Jeff McLennan with Remax All Points, and today I am here with Stephanie Barritt from Mortgage Architects. We are going to be talking about what's going on with all these new mortgage deferral programs that I think a lot of people are going to be looking into. What's going on? What are the broad strokes?
At this point, it's such a fluid thing that even the lenders don't necessarily know all of the details. So simple questions like, does a 6-month deferral of your payment mean that your term is going to be extended by that time frame? Or how is that capitalized interest being paid back? Is it over the term, or is it amortized over the whole 25 years or whatever you have left? These are questions I was really hoping to get answers to, but the lenders haven't even really drilled down that far to be able to give us a blanket answer. Most of the answers I'm getting are it's going to really be a case-by-case basis for a lot of things.
Why would that be important? What's the difference between whether they do it over the AM or the term?
So I guess just to start out, of course, when you defer your mortgage, you are not getting free mortgage payments. You're taking interest. I know, darn. The interest that you would have otherwise paid along with your monthly payment just gets added on to the balance of the mortgage. So that interest does still have to be paid, and you're actually then paying interest on that increased balance as well. So you're kind of paying interest on interest. But how that interest is paid back is going to differ between lenders or even between clients. So for instance, if you defer, say, $5,000 of interest and you have 2 years remaining on your term, if your lender is opting to have you repay that $5,000 back within your term, when you restart your payment is going to go up accordingly. So you're going to now see an increase enough to pay back that $5,000 in those 24 months you have remaining. In other cases, if that interest is being capitalized into the entire amortization of the mortgage, now that $5,000 is being stretched out over 12 months times 20 years or whatever that may be. So you're going to see a much smaller difference in the payment. As I said, I did reach out to most of the lenders. I'm not getting blanket answers from most. The majority of them are saying that that's going to be something that's adjudicated per client as a case by case and then decided. But I think for the most part, we'll see them into the amortization. It's going to be really strenuous for people once they go back to paying. So if we're adding a huge, even extra couple $100 a month onto that payment could make a really big difference for a lot of families.
Who do you think should be thinking about looking into this further or maybe taking a deferment?
The simple answer is if you can still afford to make your payments and not be worried that you're going to have stumbling blocks, I would say you're always better off to continue to make those payments because you don't want to have to pay the additional interest. That said, we're in a really, really unusual time, to say the least. And to me, the priority has to be what's going to get you through this next 6 months to a year, still being able to afford to make your minimum payments on any other debts that you might have. You don't want to go into default on any of those because that will have an effect on your credit rating, whereas the mortgage deferment will not. Right. You also want to make sure, of course, you've got kids at home. There's increased costs just with that. I know mine are eating a lot more than they ever did. So there's so many other factors to consider. So it really, you have to look at your budget and determine what's best for your family. And whether it's a 1-month deferral or it's a 6-month deferral or no deferral, it's really going to come down to what you think you can afford in the end.
So we don't know what each bank is going to do and how they're going to individually handle it. Is there anything, like, what do we know concrete at this point?
We do know that the lenders have been inundated. So in the first couple of days, there was a lot of frustration. I had clients phoning, crying with their stress level was through the roof. They were trying to get through to the phone numbers that we were provided to have clients call, but the lenders were, getting 20,000 calls a day. They didn't overnight have more staff to handle those calls. It was the same servicing center that was there a week before, but now handling a lot more. So there was a lot of frustration for clients at the outset. Over the last week or so, most lenders have streamlined the process a little bit, and a lot of them now have online forms. So if you go to your lender's website, you'll be able to find a form. You can click on that and fill in the information they're asking for, and then they'll get back to you as soon as they can. I've had some clients with some lenders say they got back to them that day. I've had some say it's taken them 3 or 4 days, but they will get back to you. And they do ask that you not repeatedly send, because there's different people that are going to pick it up, and then they're doubling up on work, which means they can't get to someone else. But they are doing their best to get through everybody. When you're being told that, yes, you've been approved, so to speak, to defer your payments, please get something in writing. There's bound to be errors. And if for whatever reason, 6 months from now, your credit's pulled and they're showing arrears payments on your mortgage, well, if you've got something in writing, it's much easier to go back and have that credit bureau fixed and show the lender that you were in fact approved. You just didn't arbitrarily decide to not make your mortgage payment. So do get something in writing. And going back to how they're going to capitalize that interest, I would like, if it was me, I would probably ask the lender that question up front. How is this interest going to be paid back? Is it going to be over the term or the amortization? It's not a question that I can guarantee the call center person will be able to ask you, because that might be down the road when you start to make those payments, they make that decision. But it's certainly a good question to ask. And if they can answer you, then that's just one more piece of information you have going forward.
Can everybody defer, or do you have to show that you are out of work, or do we know how they're processing it?
I think in the beginning stages, that was what they wanted to do, is they wanted to make it an application process. That's at least certainly the way I read into most of the information. I think that's gone by the wayside to a degree, just because of how many people have been wanting to do it. So I think that you're probably able to defer at least 1 month by simply making the inquiry. Beyond that, it's probably the same thing. It's going to be each lender deciding on their own on a case-by-case basis. I do know that with rental properties, they are allowing you to defer without having a lot of documentation, at least from what clients have told me, just simply saying, my tenant can't pay, I need to defer the payments, and that seems to be pretty easy. I've not heard a lot of pushback from the lenders right now. I think they're all being pretty good.
Is there anything else that you think is important for people to know or be considering?
Call your lender, email your lender. If you're having problems, whether it's this deferment or what's happening now or any other time, no lender wants to foreclose on you. There's a process, it's expensive, and it just doesn't look good for them either. That is the last thing they want to do, ever. So if you're ever in a hard time, there's always ways they can either re-amortize the mortgage, they can allow you to do interest-only payments for a period of time. Running away and putting your head in the sand and just saying, I'm just going to ignore them, is the worst thing you can do.
Thank you very much for this quick little chat here. Now, if somebody wants to ask Steph a question, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, it's pretty simple, actually. My website is AskSteph.ca. And my email is steph@asksteph.ca. Either of those, there's web forms. Of course, you can find my phone number on there. Text me, phone me, email me, Skywrite, whatever's easiest. And I'm captive. I can't go anywhere. So I'm home all day in front of my computer. So reach out if you have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Steph.
Thanks, Jeff. Have a good day. Bye.
You too.